Hello everybody. Government intervention at microeconomic level is the topic for discussion now, and there are three ways of government intervention in free market economy. Ways of government intervention, and there are three ways of government intervention which include: number one is regulations, number two is financial intervention, and number three is direct provision. So these are three main ways government can use to intervene into the market economy to influence private producers and consumers. These ways are further divided into different categories. Regulation has two further policies. One is minimum price, and the other way of intervention is maximum price. Similarly, financial interventions are divided into further categories like taxes, subsidies, and transfer payments. And direct provision contains two further categories. If government wants to increase direct provision, then it will go for nationalization, and on the other hand, if government wants to reduce the role of government and it wants to increase the role of private industry, then it will go for privatization. So I will discuss each and every method of government intervention one by one. First of all, I will discuss the regulation as a means of government intervention in free market economy to influence private producers and consumers. Minimum price is set by the government above equilibrium to support private producers, and sometimes private producers are reluctant to produce because they think that whatever price they are receiving is not sufficient, and they think that it is unfair price, so they will stop producing. Generally it happens in case of farmers. When farmers don't get the desired price, what they do, they stop producing certain product. So to support private producers, especially farmers, government introduces minimum price. Minimum price is the guaranteed price above equilibrium. Whatever price is prevailing in the market, government guarantees producers that they will get price more than the existing market price. So we can further see how minimum price can be shown graphically and what will be the impact of this minimum price. So we will draw axis, show quantity on X. This is origin point and this is price. Draw a normal demand curve, negatively sloped demand curve, positively sloped supply curve to show initial equilibrium position. So initial equilibrium takes place where demand and supply meet each other. So equilibrium price will be P and equilibrium quantity will be Q. So if already this is the price which is prevailing in the market, but private producers think, generally farmers think that this price is not sufficient, so they may stop producing in the next season. To avoid such situations, government guarantees the farmers that they will get minimum certain price, which is always above equilibrium. Minimum price is set by the government above equilibrium, so this is minimum price, and but this minimum price distorts equilibrium because there will be a gap between demand and supply in this situation. At price PM, demand is at point A and supply is at point B. So the gap between supply and demand is basically known as surplus or excess supply. And similarly, we can draw perpendicular from point A to the x-axis. So this is demand curve. Point A, price PM is intersecting demand curve at point A, and we can find quantity demand. So this is quantity demand. Let's say it's 50 units, and similarly at price PM we can find supply. So quantity supply is QS. Let's say it's 100. So the gap between 100 and 50, that is 50 units, and this extra 50 units produced by the producers is known as surplus. So this surplus is generally purchased by the government and kept in buffer stock for future. If there is any kind of problem or shortage of certain product in the market, then government will release this stock and supply the product in the market. Now, another important information about this graph is generally examiner asks that if government wants to restore the initial equilibrium, then what changes are expected in price, quantity demand and quantity supply. So we can clearly see that if we want our initial equilibrium price to be restored, then price should fall from PM to P. So the first variable should fall, any price should fall. What change should come about in demand? So quantity demand should move from point A to E, and when we move from point A to E, we can see that quantity is extending or quantity demand is increasing, or we can see that quantity demand should increase from QD to Q to reach equilibrium. So quantity demand should increase to restore initial equilibrium, and on the other hand we can see that at price PM supply is this much. To reach equilibrium quantity supplied should be reduced to Q from QS to Q. So, or we can also see that quantity supplied should contract from point B to point A. So quantity demand should rise and quantity supplied should fall if government wants to restore initial equilibrium.